देव विष्णु जय विष्णु युग युग वंदित श्री विष्णु जय विष्णु गण गण स्पंदित श्री विष्णु जय विष्णु युग युग वंदित श्री विष्णु जय विष्णु श्री विष्णु जय विष्णु श्री विष्णु जय विष्णु सच्चिदानंद रूपाय कृष्णाय क्लिष्टकारिणे नमो वेदांत वेद्याय गुरवे बुद्धिसाक्षिणे गुरवे बुद्धिसाक्षिणे कृष्णद्वैपायनं व्यासं सर्वलोकहितैषिणम् वेदाब्जभास्करं वन्दे शमादिनिलयं मुनिम् शमादिनिलयं मुनिम् हरि ओम। Time is a very important factor in our lives. It is a very important ingredient not only of our lives but also of our day-to-day, moment-to-moment living. In time, everything happens. That is our understanding. In time, everything happens. Or everything happens from time to time to time. We time the events also, and some events time our way of living also. Either way, time has a very important role to play in our lives. When we look at the beginning of time, where as of now we use the time to measure the beginning of anything, but when we go into the beginning of time, then we come to understand that in order to measure the time, there have to be some happenings. Something has to happen. If nothing happens, where is the measurement? Even to measure anything, something must be there. And if something happens, and after that something else happens, then there is a possibility for us to measure that which is between these two happenings. That which happens between these two happenings is the unit of time. Something happens and thereafter something else happens, and then in between that there is a gap. That gap is the unit of time, first unit of time. And thereafter things keep happening, then we keep on measuring. So in order to measure, something has to happen. Even internally also, a thought has to happen, and afterwards another thought has to happen. Whether they are conducive or not conducive, known or not known, doesn't matter. If thought happens and then a thought happens, interval between these two thoughts would become a measurement of the first unit of time or measurement of time. So there has to be someone who makes things happen. Otherwise, how things happen? Unless things happen, time doesn't Then if things happen, who makes them happen? There has to be somebody who designs them, who makes them happen. So the one who is before all happenings, from whom any happening happens or manifests, even time, including the distance, which we measure between two places. Places have to be there, or two things, 2 points, A and B have to be there to measure. If neither A is there nor B is there, what will you measure? There is no measure for measure. There has to be something there. So, the one who makes things happen so that distances appear, time appears, all that is Mahavishnu. Sometimes the time gives us enthusiasm, measurement of time. Sometimes it gives us tension and depression. Sometimes it gives us fear, sometimes it gives us joy. Sometimes it leads us into feeling of insecurity that it is slipping by. And sometimes it gives us hope that it is yet to come. Sometimes we feel sad that it is gone. All these things are connected to time only. In time, we gain a lot of experiences. Then, in the Puranas, there is a very nice measurement of time. We are not going to very minutest details of it, where even 1 second is split and divided into very minutest portions. That is a big calculation. But we are trying to look at huge ones, which are of course related to the sloka and the names that we are going to take up now. So, the yugas are happening. We have in our Puranas that there are 4 yugas, and each yuga has a measurement of time. Initially, that measurement is in the divine years, then it is calculated into human years. As far as Vishnu Purana is concerned, in every Purana you will find this measurement. But in Vishnu Purana, Krita Yuga, where first Yuga began, and to make it begin, Brahmadeva is there before that itself. Because Bhagavan Vishnu manifests Brahma, we have already seen in many names from where he is manifested, how he is manifested and all that. Afterwards he teaches him Vedas, and then he gives him the creative power to create and guides him, so he starts creation. To the best of our knowledge, Brahma is the in charge of our creation. And in that creation, in some infinitesimal, minutest portion of time, we are born and then we die. There is no comparison for our lifespan when we compare with these yugas. And then that of the Manu's lifespan, and then of Brahma's lifespan. Forget about Vishnu's span, because he is the one who gave birth to the span. So he has no span. Remember that. Mahavishnu is beyond the time. As Mahavishnu, one with Paramashiva, they are beyond the time. But one of the Trimurtis, Vishnu, may be in the greatest span of time. But Mahavishnu is beyond all the time, elements of time. So it is said Krita Yuga is for a period of 4,800 years, divine years. And then less 1,200 is Treta Yuga, 3,600. Less 1,200 is Dwapara Yuga, 2,400. Less 1,200 is Kali Yuga, 1,200. Divine years. So all these put together, 4,800 plus 3,600 plus 2,400 plus 1,200 is equal to 23. 12,000 is equal to 12,000 years, divine years. So, when they have to be converted for our understanding into human years, then suitable number is accepted in the Puranas, and which even today that is somehow connected with number of days in a year also, somehow approximately. So 4,800 years multiplied by 360, 4,800 multiplied by 360 is equal to 17 lakhs 28,000 years. Kruta Yuga, 17 lakhs 28,000 human years. That big is Kruta Yuga, 17 lakhs 28,000 human years. Then Treta Yuga, 3,600 to 360, 12 lakhs 96,000 years approximately. Human years. Then Dwapara Yuga, 2,400 to 360, 8 lakhs 64,000 years. Human years, 8 lakhs 64,000 years. And then Kali Yuga, 1,200 to 360, 4 lakhs 32,000 years. The last figure is very important because the last figure is the total figure. 4 lakhs 32,000 years. And you combine 17 lakhs 28,000 plus 12 lakhs 96,000 plus 8 lakhs 64,000 plus 4 lakhs 32,000. It will be again same figures 4320000. 43 lakhs 20,000 years. So the number of years in Kali Yuga expanded is the total number of years. The various scientific calculations are happened and then they are all approximately the same number, including the scientific calculations also, astronomical calculations also, and all that. So 43 lakhs 20,000 years. All these 4 yugas in human years is put to 43 lakhs 20,000 years. These 4 yugas combined, 43 lakhs 20,000 years is called as Mahayuga. How many times we might be taking birth? 43 lakhs 20,000 years. Mahayuga. Is there a counter? There must be some counter. It goes on how many times? Only in one Mahayuga. One Yuga itself, 4 lakhs 32,000 years in Kali Yuga. My God. How many times? Possibilities are there. Every time we take birth, same issues, same problems, same burdens, same responsibilities, same bondages, same desires, same pursuits, same cravings, same disappointments, same maddening pursuits. How many times? Is there any meaning to these pursuits? Repeated. But only thing is, each time we repeat ignorantly because we are covered, we are vain, we think it is our first time. Neither we are taking birth first time, nor we are leaving the body first time, or we are encountering these experiences first time. There is no count only for how many number of times we have been doing this. So put together 43 lakhs 20,000 years. 43 lakhs 20,000 years is one Mahayuga. Into 1,000. So into 1,000 is equal to 1 kalpa. What is that? 432 crores of years. 1 kalpa. And this kalpa is either a day of Brahma or a night of Brahma. Kalpa, 432 crores of years, is 1 day of Brahma, and 2 kalpas is equal to night plus day is equal to 1 day of Brahma. 1 day and 1 night. 1 kalpa plus 1 kalpa, 2 kalpas. So 432 crores of years into 2 is equal to 1 day of Brahma. So in 1 day of Brahma, how many yugas and how many Chaturyugas, how many Mahayugas, how many yugas, and how many times things happen? And in 1 kalpa, there are 14 Manvantaras, 14 Manus. We are in the 7th Manvantara. Vaivasvata Manvantare, in the puja they will chant 7th mantra. Still in the day of Brahma, 7 more have to go. One part either day or night. So if we understand this, 14 mantras is equal to 1 kalpa is equal to either a day or evening or night of Brahma. So 2 kalpas is equal to 1 day of Brahma, and 360 days of that Brahma is equal to 1 year of Brahma. 1 day itself, it is too much for us. 1 year, 1 night and 1 day. And into 360 is equal to 1 year of Brahma. Into 100 is equal to 100 years of Brahma lifespan. In lifespan of Brahma, is there any count for our births? In 1 day itself it is not there. How many times repeatedly he must have seen beings taking birth, going through same issues? Different combinations, but issues are same. Mind is same. Desires are same. Temperaments are same. It goes on. If we look at the current issues, which are mind-boggling, how many times these issues must have repeated or happened? How many similar things must have happened? This measurement itself will give us one thought. Is there anything to be really worried about? Really bothered about? Except our duty and responsibility, because they bind us and they liberate us. Otherwise, is there anything to be really tensed about? These are happening. These keep happening. These are continuously happening. And a small lifespan that we have, maybe 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years. What is this in comparison with at least Brahma's 1 day or 1 night? Nothing. How many times these things keep happening? And in our lifespan, maybe for some period of time, it is called as a peak period, and then we achieve some success or some name or some fame. How many times we might have achieved that and lost it? We might have gained it and disappeared, went out of existence. How many times the things that we have achieved have been forgotten by people? How many times our names might have been written in golden letters, but the gold also is melted and disappeared? How many times our achievements, our glories, our name, our fame, our property, our wealth must have been snatched away by death? Repeatedly again and again. But still we chase them. Still we run after them. Still we hold on to them. Still we try to catch hold of them. Still we think they are in our control. Still we think I can manage them. Still we think we can control them. Is it intelligence or foolishness? Is it a way of progressing or stagnating? Is it moving ahead or getting stuck? After 100 years of Brahma changes. Another Brahma takes its place. Another Brahma starts. He is 100 years. After another Brahma. Like that, Brahmas are replaced from time to time. And the one who makes it all happen is Mahavishnu. Can you say which is the birthday of Mahavishnu? Why our scriptures very intelligently leave him to be Anadi and Ananta? He is beyond the beginning. He is without the end. How our scriptures have intelligently said that God is beyond time, more than historical. The real God is beyond time. Yes, in order to establish dharma, he might take avatars like Sri Krishna, which is no doubt to be an avatar of Vishnu. Bhishma himself, finally in the end, he will say all the names of Mahavishnu, which I have said, that Mahavishnu is this Vasudeva. That is the beauty of Vishnu Sahasranama. That Mahavishnu who created Brahma, who created this yugas, who creates Brahmas, who creates all these yugas, Mahayugas, Mahavishnu, which we can't even conceive his infinity with our limited mind, which is always bound by time and place and object. He is neither time nor object nor any place. But in him all these things appear. He is beyond all these things. The idea itself will relieve us from the petty things which we think are very important. How many times we must have thought these things important, and how many times we must have overcome them, we must have gone beyond them, surpassed them, left behind all these things, and then went ahead, and repeatedly again got awkward of them, got caught in that again and again. There is no end to this. That is why Kim Japan Muchate Jattu Janma Samsara Bandhana. Dharmaraja asked this question. By doing what japa, the human being can be liberated from this ongoing process of birth and death and birth and death and birth and death and birth and death and number of times. There is the meaning in this. Every time this goes on happening. Kim Japan Muchate, and that japa is Vishnu Sahasranama. This Vishnu Sahasranama, because it belongs to Mahavishnu, has got the capacity to lift us out of all these yugas, Chaturyugas, Mahayugas, Brahmas, and take us beyond the Brahma. Can we imagine that? It will take us beyond the Brahma, into the Mahavishnu Tattva. That is the greatness of every name that we chant in Vishnu Sahasranama. Even though that appears in time and that is chanted in time, but it is connected with that truth which is beyond all this time. Next time when we see any issue bothering us, if we just recollect these numbers, then we will understand. This issue, repeatedly we must have faced this hundreds of times. And that also has passed away, this also will pass away. Definitely this has to go. I have to go. What I face has to go. What I experience has to go. The experiencer has to go. The place where the experience also has to go. The one who is deciding these experiences, Brahma, also has to go. What is there to hold on to? What is there to brag about? What is that which we hold on to in these few years of power? Whether 5 years of power in politics, or 2-3 years of power in various other chairmanships, or memberships, or some group leaders, or some committee leaders. What is this we are trying to hold on to? Whatever span is there, 1 year span, 2 year span, 3 year span, some committee, some in charge, some responsible position, some power. What power is this? In this infinite span of time which goes on and on and on and on, how many times we hold it, how many times it slips out of our hands, how many times the hands also slip out of the body and body also slips out of its existence. How many times is that? Is there any meaning in chasing after these illusions? Chasing after these things which are time-bound? There is no meaning actually. If there is one meaning, that meaning is to hold on to that japa which will take us beyond the time, beyond the death, beyond this bondage. That is Vishnu Sahasranama. Yuga Yuga Bhakto Naikamayo Mahasanaha Adrusyo Vyaktarupascha Sahasrajila Nantajila 300 name. Yuga Vigrat, the institutor of Yuga, etc. Yuga, etc. means Yuga, Kalpa, number of Kalpas, all the Yuga, Mahayuga, Kalpa, so on and so forth. Yuga Dehe, Kalabhedasya, Kartrutva, Yuga Vigrat, Yuga Nam Adim Arabham Paroti Diva, Yuga Vigrat. He who has started the yugas of this world, he started the yugas. He started the one who started the yugas, meaning he started the yugas. And one who is creator yugas. You only created, you only started. All these yugas. Who else? All these happenings started only in Him, only with Him. It is all His teaching, it is all His education to Brahma, where He started all these things. He alone thought what has to be done, how it has to be done, what are the measurements, how they have to be divided. Everything is the knowledge imparted by Mahavishnu to Brahma. Thereafter Brahma implemented it. So we are remembering Him as Yuga, one who has started these yugas, created these yugas. Such is the mighty Mahavishnu. If these numbers come to our mind, then we will understand why we call him as Mahavishnu. Beyond all these yugas. In Him, these yugas appear. He is not bound by these yugas. In Him, these things only appear. That's all. He can make hundreds and crores of these universes in Him. They keep on happening. Even today, the astronomical research says there are endless number of galaxies, endless number of solar systems, where there are innumerable number of possibilities of life happening in other solar systems, in other galaxies. We are nothing when compared with them. You are also one among them. Science also has understood now. It is not the only solar system. It is not the only galaxy. There is no limit. There is no end. Infinity. And that infinite in whom this infinity happens is Mahavishnu. That's all it is. So, it is only to make us understand how it all started. Who started? He alone started. And then here, Iti Trutiya Sataka Bhashyam. Thus ends the Bhashya of Sri Shankara on the third 100. Atha Chaturtha Shataka Bhashyam. Now here begins the Bhashyam on 4th 100. So somehow today, instead of concluding 1000, which was thought of earlier, but today we will conclude 1000. By these days we could reach up to 300. So now we are starting. After 300 we are going from 301. Yuga Vartaha. Yugani Krutadin Avartayati Kalatmaneti Yugavartaha. He who brings about the cycle of yugas. What is the cycle of yugas? Dwapara, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga. This cycle of yugas which you have already seen in the introduction. So he brings about the cycle of yugas. He only made it all happen. And how could he make it happen? Because he himself is in the form of time also. Time also is an appearance in him. So he himself in the form of time makes all these things happen. Being a Kala Rupa, he makes all these things happen. So in him alone, by depending upon him alone, all these yugas happen. So among these yugas, ours is the Kali Yuga, in that Kali Yuga, what is that span, in that span, we are born here and we are thinking so big about ourselves. And then we think the little power we hold on to it for some passing, fleeting, momentary period of time. And we become yet stronger, and then we forget our head, and we hit others' head, and all these things happen. Who is losing what? If you look at the mighty span, everybody has to lose. Nobody can keep it with them. Nobody can hold it, nobody can hold it. Either the holder has to go or the holder has to go. That is all it is. Everything. That is what Mahatma says. When somebody, one devotee went to him, no, I lost it, that fellow gained it. And he said, you extend the time, you will also lose it one day. Anyway, you have to lose it. He will also lose it. Temporarily you think he gained it. How can he gain it? That he has to die or that has to die. Anyway, he will be the loser. There is no gainer here in this world. Everybody has to gain things and lose things. So only in our limited calculation we think I am the loser, somebody else is the gainer. There is no gain, there is no loss. Actually, if you connect with infinity, these things happen. And the glory of our spiritual teaching is our true nature and Mahavishnu's true nature are not different. That is where we, even though we respect God, we accept God as God, but we have some doubt about His teaching. Maybe he is over encouraging us. But he tells his nature and our true nature, not his nature, our true nature is one and the same. That is difficult for us to accept. The rest all we can accept. We can worship him, we can praise him, we can glorify him, we can think that he is God, right? When he says this, maybe in this one aspect, maybe he is little deviating because we have doubts. That is the reason why this is being taught again and again in the scriptures. But that is the connectivity, our true nature, not the body, mind, intellect, not the ego, and the contents or components or composition, or those things which are behind them as Panchabhutas or Panchatarmatras. But that in which this happens, the one who is the witness of these things, the one who is conscious of these things, the one who is aware of these things, that witnessing conscious awareness and Mahavishnu Tattva are one and the same. Because there is the same Tattva in us. If we hold on to that, then all these things cannot bother us, trouble us. If we forget that, whatever we hold on to, we keep losing. Finally, in the end, we are losers. We are not winners. Ultimately, we will lose. So, anyway, we are losing. If somebody is holding on to it and says it is mine, in ignorance, let them say, so what? Anyway, he can't carry it into the grave. He can't. He has to leave and go. Even the proud owners of everything also leave and go. Afterwards, that never belongs to them. They don't belong to it. They have to leave and go. And again, new place, new story, new chase, new pursuit, new accumulation, new ownership, new possession, possessiveness. Right. Repeat it. Like a TV serial, it goes on. So, the one who started all this, the one who divided, is the Jivavartaha. Next name, Naikamaya, of many illusions. The Shruti praises Brahman is full of illusory powers. Many illusions because Brahma's span is different, Deva's span is different, and there are so many divisions. Bhuloka, Bhurloka, Subhaloka, Mahaloka, Tapaloka, Nilaloka, Satyaloka, and lower level Padalas, Adala, Sutala, up to Mahadala, Padala, like that. Each thing has different compositions, combinations, beings, time spans, all that. All this, each loka, each being in that loka, that is real. And something else is an appearance. All these different illusions were created, they alone created. That is why he is the master of all illusions. Many illusions. He has many illusions. He brought forth many of these things. And that is why he is of illusory powers. That is why in the calculation of the divine years multiplied by 360 became human years. Their years is different. Brahma's day is different. Devada's day is different. And Paramashiva's day is different. Our day is different. Everything is different. Who created all this? Different. Everything looks real, but everything finally in his Mahamaya, everything is an illusion. So, he is of many illusions. He has all the illusory powers of Mayas. Next one, Mahasana, the great consumer. He consumes everything during the dissolution of the world. At the time of dissolution, he consumes everything. That is at the totality level. Swami Chittananda says, at the individual level also he consumes everything. How do we say that? In the state of Samadhi, which we gain through our practice, devotion, worship, contemplation, meditation, so on and so forth, we enter into a state of Samadhi. In that Samadhi, he consumes all our vasanas. Meaning, he consumes our perceptions, feelings, thoughts. We will be with no thoughts, no feelings, no perceptions. And he consumes our ego, who is involved in this perceptions, feelings and thoughts. He eats that ego away in Samadhi. Who? He alone can swallow that ego, can swallow the perceptions, feelings and thoughts that are connected to the ego. So at the individual level also, he is Mahasana. He is the greatest consumer. He consumes all our samskaras, vasanas, thoughts, chittavrittis, everything, including mano, buddhi, chitta, ahankara. Finished. and we will be merged into infinity, becoming one with that infinite. We become one with it because we came out of it. We belong to it. We are it, not it is we. That has to be understood. We belong to Mahavishnu. We are one with Mahavishnu because we came out of it. Not that Mahavishnu is one with us. That means what? Our ego is more and then he is less. That should not be the mistake. Because he alone, he is. In him, all this happened. So we belong to him. We are nothing but him. We are nothing but him. Not he is nothing but us. He is us. He is beyond us. He is without us. He doesn't need us. That is why he is not us. We are him. That has to be understood. Even in Advaita, we belong to that. Not that he is us. In him we are there. Without us also he is there. So how can he be us even though he is one with us? That has to be the point where our ego doesn't rise even in the realization that I am one with Bhagavan Vishnu. I am one with him. That has to be always understood. Not he is one with me, even though he is one with me. The understanding should be very clear. So he consumes everything. This analysis is very nice from Swami Chinmayananji. That inside also, what will happen to this mind, what will happen to this thought, what will happen to this emotion, what will happen to this impulses, what will happen to all these things. Who will take care of them? Forget. You call Vishnu, he will take care. Because Mahashanaha, he will consume everything. He will eat away everything. He will swallow everything. He will gulp everything and he will leave you free. Because he will take everything away. So why should I manage when he is there ready to take it away? When he is there ready to take care of everything, why should I struggle to manage them? Leave him unto his care. Ask him to take care. Surrender unto him. Anyway, we are surrendered whether we know or not. If we knowingly surrender, we will really get a relief from that. That is the only thing. We are already in the train. Whether we keep the luggage under our belt, seat or on our head, it doesn't matter. Anyway, we are in the train. Anyway, train has to bear the weight. Some people very wisely, they will keep it under the seat, and some people keep their on head, and then sometimes keep it on right shoulder, then left shoulder, then on the hand, and feel it is heavy. What can we do? Bhagavan is always saying, anyway you are traveling in the living, anyway I am only taking care. You are unnecessarily holding it. And that holding is that possessiveness, mental possessiveness. That has to be surrendered. That is the inner meaning of Mahashana. Just leave it unto him. He in whom these yuvas are there. In this minutest time span, can he take care of this? What is happening to us? He who is taking care of yuvas, he can. Only thing is we don't leave it. Let us leave it, he will take care. What is going to happen? What is that we are going to lose? Where are we going to go? Even if we lose, in him only, unto him only. We will become one with him only. Where is the loss? Is there any loss? Everything has come out of him, including us, and whatever belongs to us. So where it can go? Back to him. Where we will go? Back to him. Who is losing? Is there any loser? Is there anybody losing anything? अरे क्या है भाई? एक बार is there any gain बोल रहे हैं? एक बार is there any loss बोल रहे हैं? क्या कभी बोल रहे हैं? What are you trying to do? Yes, come on. Please think. What are we losing? Body, where it is lost, goes back to 5 elements. From where 5 elements have come? From 5 karma. From where they have come? Go into subtle analysis, goes to Avekta goes Sattva karma to Nirvana. So where they are going? If the world dies, where it will go? To him. If the sun disappears, where it will go? Unto him. So where is loss? There is no loss. Loss is our manufacturing of our mind. There is no loser. Loss is our creation. There is no loss. If we really understand, loss is only our mental structure, our thinking that we are losers. We are losing. There is no loss anywhere. There is nobody who loses. When it doesn't belong to us, how can we lose? It belongs to Vishnu. And now also it belongs to Vishnu. Now also it is in Vishnu. Now also the owner is Vishnu. Now also the creator, sustainer, destroyer is Vishnu. It doesn't belong to us. How can we lose? Can you be the loser of your neighbor's property? Unless you have new designs, unless you have already changed in registers department by bribing him. How can you lose? How can you be the loser of neighbor's property? How can? Unless there is some other wrong relationship. How can we lose? We can never lose. So what belongs to Vishnu belongs to Vishnu all the time. We think it belongs to us. Our notion is wrong. That notion makes us refer ourselves as loser. That notion makes us consider ourselves as gainer. There is gainer, there is loser, except in thinking. It is all thinking. Loss is a thought, gain is a thought. We are stuck in the world of thoughts. And who can consume all this? Bhagavan can consume. He can liberate us from this network of thoughts. We are stuck in the thought of loss. We are getting proud and headstrong because of the thought of gain. There is neither gain nor loss. Always it is Vishnu's. Even though it is Vishnu's, let also it is Vishnu's. What is Vishnu? Is Vishnu's in Vishnu. Where is gain? Who is gaining? Who is losing? It is all thinking. It is all thinking. It is all mere thinking. That is all our thinking. In thoughts, we think we are gainer. We think we are loser. In thoughts, because of loss, we go into depression. In thoughts, because of gain, we become proud and we become arrogant and we become headstrong. All thoughts. And no thought is reality. No thought is real. No thought has any stuff that is real. All thoughts are illusory. All thoughts are fabricated. All thoughts are imaginations. And the consciousness behind these thoughts is real. Real is God, which is Mahavishnu, which is what is eternal. Unreal is never real, never going to stay, never can it stay. It appears as if it is staying. Why are we holding on to illusions and mirages? Can we hold on to a mirage? Can we hold on to the appearance of water in a desert? In a desert? We cannot. It looks real, but it is not real. It is illusory. It is not real. In Him, the Mahavishnu, the world is of illusion. Illusory worlds happen. In that illusory worlds we also happen. What belongs to us? When are we gaining? When are we losing? Whether we are in death, we are in Vishnu. Whether we are in birth, we are in Vishnu. Whether we are in life, living, we are in Vishnu. We are always in Vishnu, with Vishnu, and in the highest levels as Vishnu. Who gains, who loses. That is why in Sri Krishna's infinity, Vishwarupa is only one level of Sri Krishna's Ananta Tattva. Vishwarupa is not everything of Sri Krishna. Vishwarupa is only a gross aspect. Virata Rupa is a sthula aspect, body aspect. There is Hiranyagarbha aspect. There is Ishvara aspect. Beyond all of them, there is Saguna Brahma. Beyond them, there is Nirguna Brahma, Parabrahma. In his infinity aspect, the same Sri Krishna who played the role of Krishna and in the Vada also, every moment he was active, every second he was active. If we go through Mahabharata, Pandava's victory is actually designed by Sri Krishna. That is all. Without his presence, it can never happen. That is all it is. If you go through the Mahabharata very clearly, he is there to make it happen. That is it. He decides how much ever mighty the adharmic people might be, the evil desires might be, however skillful they might be, he decided dharma shall be finished. It is his word. They follow his laws. All the forces of nature act according to his laws, not according to the laws of evil desires. His law is dharma wins. That is all. That is it. Satyam eva jayate. That is it. Truth wins. Na anrutam, not untruth. He is there as truth. So, if we look at us, are we losing the body? Are we gaining the body? Neither we are losing the body, nor we are gaining the body. Because I, as an ego, is an illusion. Can illusion own it? Can illusion lose it? No. There is no loss, there is no gain. He alone is, He alone was, He alone shall be. He alone, full stop. That is Mahavishnu. And to get into Him, this is the way. We get into Him through these names. This alone is the way. This is the easiest way. This is a user-friendly way. Yes, Vedas are not all that user-friendly. Vedanta may be little high. Various other Shastras may be tough. This is user-friendly practice, spiritual practice. Our level, anywhere we are filled with names and forms and names and forms and names and forms and names and forms. Substitute them with divine name, divine form. That's all. Use of printing. Same Parabrahma Tattva which is not revealed even by the scriptures has come to us in the form of one name, 1,000 names, number of names. Hold on to it. We will understand the truth that never ever we can gain or lose. This is the truth. Truth is this. Illusions can be many. And we can be stuck in illusions, we can live in illusions, think them as real, consider them as true, and suffer. That is all different issues. Experience that is different issues. Truth is truth. That has to be disclosed as per the Shastra. Next, Adrushyaha, the invisible. Sarvesham Buddhindriyanam Adrushyaha. Buddhindriyanam Yatva Adrushyaha. The invisible to the intellect and all other senses. He is invisible to all the senses. He is invisible to the intellect. He is invisible. Meaning he is not an object of senses or mind or intellect. He is beyond mind, beyond intellect, beyond senses. Senses have limitations. These senses can't even see everything that is there. We need microscopes, we need macroscopes, we need telescopes, so many scopes. And each scope shows different viewpoint. Which viewpoint is correct? Which is the real thing? What we see or what we cannot see or what we do not see. Everything is an illusion. Everything is real from one standpoint, illusion from another standpoint. So, he is invisible to these limited instruments. He is beyond all this. To know him, to understand him, to experience him, we need something which is higher than these things. That is what is Shraddha, faith, devotion, meditation, knowledge, so on and so forth. Next one. After Adrushya, see the pointing of the name. Vyaktarupa, having manifested forms. He is invisible, previous name. Now, having manifested forms. The same invisible has manifested so many forms. And he became so many forms in the physical embodiments. He has all these forms. That is what Virat Rupa is. He has all these forms. He is the owner of all the forms. We are not owner. He alone is the owner. At gross level he is the owner. Subtle level he is the owner as Hiranyagarbha. He is the owner of all minds, all intellects, all memories, all egos. He is the owner. And what is this stupid ego telling I am the owner? It is not even the owner of itself. It is owned by Hiranyagarbha. And the causal level, Ishvara. And all these are different aspects and appearances of one truth. That is Parabrahma. That is all. So, he has many forms, manifested forms. And another meaning is, being self-radiant, he becomes cognizable to the yogins. Swayam prakashamanatvat yoginam vyaktarupa iniva. All yogis are trying to know him, realize him, attain him, experience him, understand him. And he makes himself known to them, to all the yogis. Only yoke their minds to him, to gain him, to realize him. He makes himself available. That is through his own radiance, Swayam Prakasha Tattva, self-luminous radiant nature. He makes it possible. Next one, Sahasrajit. Sahasrajit means the conqueror of thousands of asuras in the battle. Sahasrani asuranam yuddhe jayati iti. Sahasrani asuranam yuddhe jayati iti. He wins over thousands and thousands of asuras, thousands and thousands of demonic beings. Of course, that Puranas all say, but Swami Chidmanand says something very unique. It is his style of interpreting, and he says there are thousands of passions, thousands of lusts, thousands of greeds, thousands of angers that happen in our antakarana, in our internal organ, antakarana, mind, intellect, memory, ego. Thousands. Is there one lust, one passion, one greed, one anger, etc.? Hundreds and thousands of them happening. They are happening and happening and happening. And each time they happen, they loot away our peace, they destroy our eat away our serenity. Luke does not eat peace, tranquility, serenity. That is why they are disturbed. That is why they are stressed. Because of what? These looters, these destroyers, these eaters. Who are they? Passions, lusts, greeds, angers, etc. All these are there inside. And who wins over all of them? It is the inner Atma, the inner self, which is behind the body, mind, intellect, memory, ego. The inner self wins over thousands and thousands of lower impulses. There is a winner inside us. Never be bogged down by these greeds, passions, lusts, angers, jealousies, and all that. Never be bogged down. There is a winner inside. He is there inside. He can win. And all that we have to do is become conscious of him and become aware of him, and he will take care. He will win. He is always a winner. He is never a loser. Sahasrajita, he always wins over all these things. So please, next time when we see jealousy, passion, anger, lust, greed taking over us, please understand how to manage, how to control, how to be in balance, how to come out of it. Just become aware of the winner inside, who is always a winner, who is never a loser. That is Vishnu as the inner Atma. Now, next name, Anantacita. Anantacita, the conqueror of innumerable beings. He through his unlimited powers excels every being in activities, in every kind of activity, including war. He excels every being, because of his limitless powers, unlimited powers. His powers are not limited. His power is not like our power. His power is unlimited. So he excels everybody. No one can excel him except with his own grace. That is what it is. Only with his grace. With his grace alone. That is all. And his grace happens when we love him, when we are devoted to him, when we offer ourselves to him. He will offer himself to us. And there will be nobody to take, because we have offered to him, he will offer to us where there is no ego. We have offered to him means we have offered the ego to him. Thereafter, there is nobody to possess God also. He offers himself to such a being who is not bound by ego. Offering ourselves to him means offering our ego. Then what is there? Then only beingness is there. There is no ego, there is only beingness. And God offers himself to that beingness which he is not different from. That is what bhaktas do. That is what jnanis do. They gain God. How? When the loser in them, that is the ego gone. When the gainer in them is gone, they are with God. That is why they don't say that they have gained God, because there is no gainer. The gainer is ego. The loser is the ego. Ego is gone. Being is there. What gains? What loses? It is, that's all. It simply is. That is why in realization is simply is. That is not even interpreted as a gain. Because who gains? Who calculates this gain and loss? That fellow is no more there. He who is beyond gain and loss is there. That is. In that there is only easiness. In now the realization is finished. Not that realization happened, realization was not there, nothing. Realization is finished. He understood, he alone is. And that is not different from that which is, which always is, which ever is. That is this easiness. He understood. That's all. And there is gain, there is loss. It is only from our calculation. Realization means gain. I will gain this, I will gain that. The gainer is gone, the loser is gone. Please understand this. That is why for a realized person, whether body is there or not, doesn't matter. Whether people are there or not, doesn't matter. Whether money is there or not, doesn't matter. Whether people praise or resent, doesn't matter, because there is no matter in his consciousness. He gives consciousness, and in that consciousness there is no matter. So what does it matter? Whether matter does this or that, doesn't matter. Please understand. That is the level of a being who has become one with Mahavishnu. In that oneness with Vishnu, worlds may appear, worlds may dissolve. He is neither going to lose, nor going to fear, nor going to get frightened, nor going to be afraid, because there is no fear in whom he who has become one with Bhagavan Vishnu. That is why he is Anantacita. This is victory over negative forces. That is what Swami Chinmayananda says. Anantachita is victory over negative forces. Becomes complete. That victory over negative forces becomes complete when the higher consciousness is experienced. When we experience the highest, the victory is complete. Till then, victory is incomplete. We are winning and winning and winning and winning. Many more things to win, many more things to gain, many more things to reach, many more things to attain. After that, there is no attainer. The attainer, the stainer of attainer is gone. There is no more. That stainer is removed. That is why stainless purity is Bhagavad. Shining purity is Bhagavad. Ananta Chitta. Now we move on to the next sloka. Ishto visishta sishteshta. Ishto visishta sishteshta. Shikhandi nahusho vahu. Shikhandi nahusho vahu. Krodha krodha karta. Krodha krodha karta. Vishvavahur mahithara. Vishvavahur mahithara. Ishtaha, the beloved. He is the beloved. Everybody loves the other because he is there inside as the most lovable object. Only because he is there inside, because as the most lovable presence, everybody unknowingly, unconsciously loves oneself. Why? I love myself more than anybody else. Whatever I may say, I love you more than myself, I can do anything for you, and all of that is talk and bullshit. Because I love you, because I am there, and because you are satisfying my wish, my want, my desire, and you are making me feel peaceful, happy, making me as a leader, making me as a winner, I love you. The day when you make me as a loser, the day when you leave me, the day when you go against me, then I will know what happens to my love, what happens to my promise, what happens to my oaths and vows. Everything will crumble into dust and become trash. That is why one of the Upanishads says, everybody loves themselves more than anybody else. A husband who says that he loves the wife not for the sake of the wife, but for the sake of himself. Same with wife also, same with children also. When a child says that a child loves the parent, child loves the parent not because of the parent, because of the child. Because everything is provided, because everything is given. So that is what we need. The truth is, we love ourselves. Rest all, it is there. But after this only that happens. Only the masters who have gone beyond this ego, they only know that they see themselves in others. Then their love is oriented towards their presence in others, which is immaculately blemishless, and there cannot be impurities because they see themselves in others. Do we see like that? We see others as others and us as us, and then the love starts. Meaning, this ego loves that ego, that love. There can be conducive love, there can be non-conducive love, there can be tough love, there can be rough love, there can be smooth love, there can be slipping love, flowing love. There cannot be real love unless the heart is surrendered, ego is offered, the being sees the being, it goes beyond our doing, and there is only being where there is no doing. And where there is no doing, there is reveling of Ananda. As long as there is doing, there is no reveling. Doing means egoist. In ego there is reveling. There is only revolving. There is no reveling. There is only leveling once in a while because it goes up and down, level everything. There is no reveling. So then, he is Ishtaha. Sri Adi Shankaracharya says, Paramananda Priya Ishtaha. Being the highest bliss, he is the beloved. Everybody wants to be happy because he is the nature of happiness inside. In order to gain that happiness, we chase happiness outside where it is not there. We live where it is there. And we fail, we get disappointed, we temporarily get satisfied, and we blame all external things, external people, external pursuits, external happenings, external incidents. Actually, we have to blame ourselves for our ignorance. Keeping it inside, we are chasing it outside. How can we get? We are chasing people who are chased by time. How can they give eternal happiness? How can they give prolonged happiness? How can they give permanent happiness? They themselves are momentary. They are chased by time. And we are chasing them in time, who are chased by time. And we want happiness which is beyond time. Foolishness. And if they stop giving happiness, we blame. If they stop giving happiness, we become illegal. If they stop feeding our ego, we become antagonistic. Foolishness. How can anybody supply infinite happiness to us? They themselves are not infinite. Their instruments are not infinite. Situations are not infinite. Doings are not infinite. How can they? Only being is infinite. In being there is no chasing. In being there is no running after. In being there is only just be. That's all. And we will gain the happiness. Not by asking anybody, not by begging anybody, not by chasing anybody, not by craving for anybody, not by desiring anybody, not by wishing anybody, not by wanting anything. Just by being. Surrendering all wants, wishes, desires, cravings. Just being in Mahavishnu as our inner self. We gain everything. We become the masters of the universe. That Paramananda is there inside. Ignorantly, we are seeing the reflections of Paramananda, infinitesimal speck of dust-like reflections outside and running after the sensory objects. No doubt there is joy, but that is nothing when compared with that joy which we can gain when we really realize our true nature. In fact, from the highest standpoint, there is nothing that has to be done. Only one thing, if at all it is there, that has to be done. Dhyeyo Narayana Sada. Meditate upon Narayana, meditate upon Vishnu. That is the ultimate karma anybody can do. That is the ultimate purpose of life. That is the ultimate goal of life. Rest all are trivial. Being the highest bliss, he is the beloved. He who is worshipped in the sacrifices, yajnas. In all the sacrifices yajnas, Vishnu Sahasranama continues. There did not bring it down because today, 21st day, we thought this will conclude, but this has extended, that also has extended. It goes on as long as he wants because he only continues. So, he is worshipped in all yajnas, in all yagas, in all sacrifices. He alone is worshipped. He alone is the ultimate receiver of all of these. That is why Swami Chinmayananda says, the Lord is the very center of all love in everyone. Everybody when they express love, they are connected to God. Because God alone is love. Love is God, actually. Which is not ego, huh? Don't think egoistic love is God. No. The selfless love, the conditionless love, the desireless love is really God. Other loves are seemingly God. So then, all love springs from our personal love for the infinite, which is this emptiness. Any love for others also. Actually, according to the greater Shastras, it is our love directed towards ourselves, present in them as their self. Not knowing that we love their body, we love their mind, we love their qualities, we love their character, we love their ability, we love their actions, so on and so forth. Actually, we are in love with ourselves as the self in the other. That is the truth. In fact, the right way of saying I love you is I love myself in you as yourself. Otherwise, very honestly, they can say I selfishly love you. That is true. Let us be decent enough in telling this. Because if I love your body, if I love your property, if I love your character, or if I love your qualities, if I love your talents, what is all this personality based? That is selfish. If I love you as myself, that is ultimate. If I see myself in you, if I see yourself in me, even though they say in all poetry and songs and movie songs and all that, I am in you, you are in me, I am in you, you are me. Truth only, because those people who wrote these songs were philosophers. Now only talking is becoming singing, because no songs, no poetical. No, what is that? There is grass on the ground, I pull the grass, you pull the grass, and we are in love with each other. That has become poetry now. In olden days, the people who wrote were philosophers. If you look into that, you will see the philosophy behind it. You will see the truth behind it. Because they were real thinkers. The poetry came out of their heart, now comes out because of money. And money cannot bring out beauty. It is very rare. When only it comes out naturally, it is beautiful. When it comes out because of some gain, it cannot be beautiful. It will only be actually different grades of happiness. Bhagavan alone is the Ishta. He alone is the beloved. He alone is the cause of love. He alone is the love in everyone. Next, Avasishta. Sarvesham Antaryamitvena Avasishta. The non-specialized indweller in all of us. The non-specialized as indweller in all of us is Avasishta. He is the indweller, Antaryami. He doesn't claim himself. He doesn't want to exhibit his presence. He is not special. Ego is very special. Ego is the deeds are very special in our life. Is God special in our life? As an indweller, hardly we have time for him. So he is non-specialized indweller, but he is ultimate. He is there dwelling inside us. He is the special being superior to all of us. He is superior to all of us. He is special being. Some say it as Vishishta also, instead of Avashishta, some interpret it as Vishishta, one who is the noblest and the more sacred, whichever way it is. God as Antaryami is quiet, he is silent, he is just watching things. What is the lesson? To us also, be quiet, be silent, watch things, learn to watch. That's all. God, as any time, when ego goes on stating claims, did any time government say, I am the Antaryami staying inside, you are neglecting me, ignoring me, not giving attention to me, not paying respect to me, not bothered about my presence, what are you trying to do? How many times you have complained about like this scholars? You don't look at me, you don't smile at me, you don't laugh at me, you don't become conducive to me, you don't respect my presence, you ignore my presence, you don't bother about my presence, which makes nonsense, makes no sense. All that. If ever Antaryami said that, he never says. Because he knows this is no sense. He knows he is there. That is all. And the essence doesn't bother about sense. Because he knows it is the essence. One who doesn't know that he is an essence gets into sense without common sense and creates nonsense. That is what it is. The essence doesn't bother about all this. Essence is that God. Essence doesn't claim. Essence doesn't want to compete. Essence doesn't want to compare because it is beyond comparisons. It is beyond competitions. It knows it is. That is why all great Mahatmas know they are. They don't want others to know that they are. That is why there are many Mahatmas. Swami Vivekananda says, the Gurus that are, the Mahatmas that are known to the world are few, the Mahatmas that are unknown to the world, who doesn't want the world to know them, are many. There are even today in the greater Himalayas. Don't you think we can discover when we go through a travel agent? Impossible. No agent can take us. Only the agentlessness, the doership-lessness can take us there. Only when they want to reveal, they will reveal. They are not bound by anything. They don't want to be known to the world. What does it think about them? Because they know it is. What is there in people knowing it, in people praising? What will they do? They will recognize, they will interpret, they will brand, they will categorize, they will attribute. Either they will throw flowers or they will throw stones. That's what it is. What else people can do? When they are touched, they will throw flowers. When they are pricked, they will throw stones. Why flowers? Why stones? That is where they remain inside the stones in the caves. Why come out and get other stones? That stone is not come around. What is the one? Why interpretation? Why all this analysis? Why all these tools? Why do they want us? They don't want us. Don't think the beings who are known to the world only are the beings. They are unknown. So many are there. So the indweller doesn't want to receive. He is quiet. That is a lesson to us. If you the real fullness, the all fullness is always full and it is quiet. When you eat also, Suppose somebody feeds you and feeds you and feeds you and feeds you up to the throat, and next morsel it will come out. At that time, how you will feel? Full. If anybody offers anything, full. Complete in oneself. Completeness. And do you have any interest if anybody offers a 7-star party at that time? After 6 hours you can go. Some professionals after 2 hours they can go. What is it? What is their talent and capacity? But we will not. We are full. Like that, the inner self is all fullness. There is nothing lacking in that. And that is Antaryami. That is where Antaryami remains like that. Just like that. That is why people like Ramoji Maharaj, they remain like that. Ramana Maharshi remain like that. And other people go and compare, wasting time, lazy, foolish behavior. Who is fool? Who is wise? The otherwise thinks he is wise. The wise doesn't want to stay claim that he is wise. Because he knows the otherwise is otherwise. That is why they stay there and they run. We run around and we suffer. They don't move because they are beyond movement. We move everywhere and we are moved by everything. Finally we are moved out of existence. The immovable, ignorantly identified with the movable, moves out, moves in. What is our autobiography? Moving in, moving out. That's all. Rest all is meaningless. After I moved in, I did this, I did that, that's all story. Only 2 decent things. I moved in, then I moved out. That's all. Then what do I do? Again I move in, then I move out. That's all I do. Is there any data? Moving in, moving out. That's all it is. So the Antaryami is just like that. He is there at an indweller. He knows he is special. He doesn't want to prove he is special. One who is special doesn't want to prove. One who is not special only struggles to prove. Because there are so many competitive, comparative things he wants to prove. A full person doesn't want to prove. To whom he has to prove? Where is the proof? Why should he prove? What satisfaction will get in proving? Who will appreciate what? The never full people, can they appreciate all full? Being they cannot even know. The never full people only can see the never full thing. Incomplete people can see incomplete things and they can rate incomplete as a remarkable thing. Who wants the rating? Who wants the classification? Incomplete rating is rating. Incomplete analysis is an analysis. That is why they don't bother. They are just there. They know that they are complete. They don't want anybody to know that they are complete or anybody to tell that they are complete. An incomplete person can never tell that a complete person is complete because he can never know who is complete, what is complete. So what praise, what criticism? A complete is complete. Whether people praise, he knows that he is complete. Nothing can make him incomplete. Whether people criticize, he knows that nothing can be deducted from him because he is complete. When people praise, he knows nothing can be added to him because he is complete. Infinite is infinite. Nothing can be added to it. Nothing can be taken out of it. The infinite knows he is infinite. That is Antaryami. If we know that, then we can come out of all clutches of finite. We will be infinite. We are infinite. In fact, we are not the body, not the mind, not the intellect, not the memory, not the ego, not the desire, not the disappointment, not the birth, not the death. We are that infinite. That is the truth. In order to take us to that infinite, these names are the ladders that take us to that infinite. Sishteshtaha, loved by the learned. Sishta ishtaha, priyohi jnanino ityartham aham sacha mama priya. For excessively dear I am to the wise and he is dear to me. Bhagavan himself says. Meaning, here there are 2 meanings. Loved by the learned or he loves the learned. Meaning, he is loved by the devotee or the wise person or he loves the wise person or the devotee. That is what he loves the jnani or a devotee. He is loved by the devotee or a jnani. But as to all other people, they have so many things to love. That's why. Only jnani and the devotee loves him because they know He alone is real. When you know He alone is real, how can you love anything else except Him? You can love anything else, but as Him, as owner, as the owner of Him, as the owner of it, you can love Him. You can love anything as belonging to Him, because He is there in it. You can love it. But without Him, how can you love anything? Once you know Him, that is how our love was. So, loved by the learned, He loves the learned. And He also said, He is honored by the wise. Sishtanam Ishtaha, the beloved of the good people. Sishtanam Ishtaha, Swami Chinmayananda interprets this in this manner. Sishtanam Ishtaha, the beloved of the good people. Shishta Ishta Yasya Saha, He is loved by the good people. He loves the good people, He is the beloved of the good people. Beloved of the good people is Sishtanam Ishtaha, Shishta Ishta Yasya Saha. To Him, good people are the beloved. He loves good people. He is loved by good people. So being good is the most important thing for us. Because if we are good, He loves us. And if we are really good, we love Him. And in loving Him or gaining His love, the fulfillment is here. Rest all temporary fulfillments, which are time bound, which can just die away like anything in a moment, it can disappear. All the glories and richnesses, they can just fly away like that. So we are chasing things that can fly away from us. Things that are always leaving us, we are trying to hold them. When we try to hold the sand in the hand, sand in the hand, it will slip away. That's what it is. That is why people who are facing some enemies, onslaughts also, they use sandbags to protect them. Why? Because the projectile of a bullet, when it enters the sandbag, it goes haywire. It cannot penetrate because it slips out. That is why they use sandbags. They don't use bricks and rocks, they use sandbags. So that whatever it is, they are easily taken, they can take it easily and all. The important thing is, sand slips out of our hand. It just slips. Try to hold it, it slips. Same is the worldly pleasures. Hold them, they slip out. Before we can think that we are still owning them, life also slips out like that. The path is slippery, everything is slipping. What is there to hold on? Everything slips, path itself is slippery, hold itself is slippery, and things are slipping. And in the process, there are other things that slip also. This is slippery, that slippery, let this slip. And so many things slip. That's all. There is many a slip between the cup and the lip. Always everything slips. Shikhandi. Shikhandi means decorated with peacock feathers. The peacock feathers, when they are used to decorate, and the one who decorates himself with the peacock feathers as a cowhead boy, Sri Krishna himself, he is that Shikhandi. Shikhanda means peacock feather. Shikhandi, one who wears the peacock feather, is Shikhandi. Not the other Shikhandi in Mahabharata. This is a different thing. Next, Namushaha, the confounder of beings through his illusory power. Ishvara, the supreme consciousness, conditioned by the total causal body called as Maya, at the same time functions as the ruler of Maya. Because Ishvara veils himself and again rules that veils himself. Rules that which veils himself. He veils himself by himself and he rules over that. That is why that veil is not a veil. That cover is not a cover. That is an illusory cover. He knows it is an illusory cover. He knows he is the ruler of the cover. That is why he is confounder of being. He keeps everybody in that confounded state because he veils himself. Nobody can discover him. And he veils himself and he is seated in our heart. That is why we don't discover. We run everywhere, but he is there inside. He is running with the runner. How can the runner reach the goal? When he is running with the runner, can runner reach while running? Running has to stop and he will reach the goal. When the goal is inside the runner, can the runner reach the goal? By running? Cannot. Runner can never reach the goal when he is running. Whatever he runs, wherever he runs, he is running away. He is running away from himself. We are running away from ourselves. this and pursuit of that is actually I am running away from myself. That is right, that is true. Rest all is decent way of telling this is duty, that is responsibility, that is desire, this is goal, that is wish, this is wish, and all that. That is push, this is flush, that is flush, and all this. Nothing else. I am running away from myself. That is the truth. Rest all is the new dignified statements. I am doing this, I am doing that. That is not compared with He alone. So then, He confounds people. The confounder of beings brings illusory power. Next, Vrishaha. He is Dharma, as He showers our desires. Kamanam, Varshana, Vrishaha Dharma. He satisfies all of our dharmic desires. He alone is Dharma because He showers all desires. Vrishodi Bhagavan Dharma. Lord is the nature of Dharma. When we practice Dharma, Lord Himself is there with us. Because His nature is Dharma. He is there with us. Being dharmic is being with God. Remember that. Being dharmic is not getting any honor, getting any award, getting any reward. Who bothers about awards? God Himself is there. Being with Dharma is being with God. Being with God is being with infinity. Being with infinity is being with everything and losing nothing. Being with Dharma is losing nothing. Being with Dharma is gaining everything. That's all it is. So don't think 21st century also if I am dharmic will I gain what? What do you gain? What do you lose? Because being with Dharma is being with God. How can you lose anything in this world? I may not gain that much of money. I may not gain promotion. I may not satisfy that fellow by being dharmic. Who bothers about all this? This is all trash. Being with Dharma is being with God. That is why Bhagavan said, even if you are ready to die, die rather than sacrificing Dharma for the sake of Adharma. Die! Because with death I will be with you. After that I will be with you. Till you reach that I will be with you. You want me? Is everything, or you want that which is nothing? What is our choice? Do we want that which is everything, or do we want that which is nothing? If you want to do that which is nothing, that is Adharma. Temporarily it looks as a gain. I may save myself, but if it is a question of life and death, hold on to Dharma, because God is there. God will be with us in death, in life, in birth, in rebirth, in this world, in other world, in all the words, and where there are no words, God alone. That is important. Being God as a human being, we should seek God's presence, not others' presence. Others' presence as God in themselves we can seek, but not as themselves. As themselves, whatever presence we seek, that is drowners. There is nothing else we can get. Krodha, destroyer of anger. Sadhunam, Krodham, Hanti iti Krodha. He destroys Krodha in all the good people. He removes the Krodha in all the good people. We will continue it because it is time. Then one of them will become Krodha. Shri Ram Ram Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tatulyam सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ। श्रीगुरुभ्यो